welcome back to our next session. This afternoon we are going to be talking about the drunkard and the glutton. Same problem, different way of handling. Proverbs chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Proverbs chapter 23, verses 20 and 21 for the definition of the drunkard and the glutton. See what it says. It says, "Be not among winebibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh, for the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags." Notice in the first verse that it says to be not around or among winebibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. That means not being around people that are consistently partying and devouring things. Why would you not want to be around somebody who is out partying and being drunk all the time? That's a pretty good question. The answer is in verse 21. It says, "For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags." Now, why do you think that a drunkard would come to poverty? Let's look at what a drunkard does. How many people have struggled drinking before? Outstanding. How many people have struggled with drug addiction? Outstanding. So, when you have a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction, how is your work ethic affected once you've gone out and done those things? Do you get up the next morning gleeful and waiting for work to come in the morning? I don't think there's enough coffee to get you up after a hard night of drinking or shooting up. You're going to miss work, right? You miss work, you miss money. You miss work, you could possibly be fired. You miss work, you could possibly lose the things that you have, right? And so its ability to help you be able to take care of yourself becomes the issue. So the ultimate issue that you're looking at is getting drunk or being numb or going out and devouring whatever it is that makes you feel good and allows you to forget about your problems for a little while. And then after a little while, one of those things is going to win. What do I mean? Well, a person that can maintain work and still feel numb has got a specific term. Does anybody know what that is? It's called a functioning alcoholic, right? A functioning drug addict. A person that can maintain doing drugs while keeping their job. And you understand that's the bare minimum. That is literally the bare minimum. And I've found people say, well, that's the spot, that's the sweet spot, chaplain. That's the spot I'm trying to find, is being able to work and maintain being numb. Well, what I would ask you is, do you think that being numb and working is being successful in life? Or would you say that that is surviving, barely surviving, right? What you have to ask yourself is, why is the bar that you've shut at survival mode, right? Because it's survival mode. What are you worried about? You're worried about where you're sleeping. You're worried about where you're eating. You're worried about paying your bills, right? You're worried about taking care of your family, right? That's survival mode. But have you ever thought of what would happen above that? Beyond that? Did you ever think that that you have a talent or a gift or a pathway of service that you like to render and do for people? Like, I like to talk about what God's done in my life, and that's a pathway and a service that God has given me to render to other people. Have you ever thought that there's more than just survival? And by just surviving, there's something that you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing? And because you're just surviving, it makes it incapable for you to be used for those things. It's food for thought. Good questions. Always good questions to ask. All right. Let's start in Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 1. And this gives you identification markers of glutton and drunkard. It says, "Wine is a mocker, and strong drink is raging, and whoever is deceived by them thereby is not wise." This verse is telling us three things. First, wine is a mocker. When people start to get buzzed and they start to make fun of people, yeah? And they feel cool because they feel good about themselves, and they'll make fun of what someone's wearing or what their clothes is or how ugly their girlfriend or boyfriend is or what kind of stupid hat someone has on or what an ugly car they drove in, something that makes them feel like their life is better than the person they just walked in with, right? A mocker. Second, strong drinks. Strong drinks, we're talking about liquor at this point, is raging. Anybody ever heard the statement that the Irish would rule the world if it wasn't for whiskey? Why? Because whiskey makes people drunk, and drunk people like to fight, and they are hungover, are they not? And if you're hungover, you definitely cannot rule the world. So, right here in the Bible, it states that you struggle with strong drink, that you're going to have a rage problem, right? Which means you're going to be in fights constantly, battle constantly. There's not really anything that is going to stop you from doing it because the drinking pushes that forward. Now, my question is how many of you guys grew up with parents that struggled with some kind of alcoholic addiction? All right. Would you consider that, let's say dad, for example, would you consider if you dealt with a dad that was an alcoholic, would you find him a kind person? You don't think kind is the answer. All right. Would you find him pleasant when he comes home? Not pleasant. Okay. Heartfelt. Did he come home and tell you how much he loved you? No? Well, what if he just came in and was yelling about something? Does that fit? Would he argue with your mom? Would he get something to eat, and if it wasn't cooked to his liking, chuck it across the living room? Oh, that sounds more accurate. So what you're saying is that this verse is accurate. Person who struggles with drinks is going to struggle with rage, right? All right, that's the second piece of information it gives us. Third piece says, whoever is deceived thereby is not wise. Anybody here remember what the opposite of wisdom is? The opposite of wisdom is a fool. A fool rages on and is confident. They believe what they're doing is right. That is what a fool does. Pride and confidence. And a person that struggles with drinking is not wise, and that is what the Bible is trying to tell you, to stay away from those people, because those people that struggle with this particular issue are going to cause conflict in your life.